Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Coaching Program. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I train people for improved personal and professional development, offering my assistance for those ready to develop their goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. And this podcast is one tool I use to complete my mission. How it works: in 10 minutes time, when the 10-minute mark hits on this podcast, you'll have a life lesson that you can take away with you at this point right here and apply it to something going on in your life immediately. And if this lesson in this episode sounds familiar, like something you're already trying to do that just doesn't know how to work itself out, maybe I can help. Go to our website, 10minutelifecoach.com, and see if there's a way that we can connect so that we can help work on this together. This podcast is powered by the $10 Life Coaching Program. More on that project in just a moment, but first, today's lesson. One of the amazing things about the day and age we live in is the access we have to materials and information that is astounding. You can get a hold of pretty much anything via the magic of the internet and maybe even a little extra digging. Hard work sometimes it's called, maybe going to a library and getting a real actual book and doing some research. But you have access to pretty much anything you want to, any idea, any thought, any person that you want to, within a couple clicks in most cases. The bad news is, you have access to so much of the same information. A lot of it is regurgitated. A lot of it is restated. A lot of it is just the same thing being said by different people, that it turns into a big wash of noise if you don't get careful. And that is especially a problem in my industry. I am a life coach for all practical purposes. I'm a personal development personnel provider. And what I do is go through and help people rework things in their business, in their life, to go on a better path. That's a simple explanation of what I do. And how I do it is not necessarily anything that requires any rocket science. It's mostly just observation. I observe what you are doing right now, and I give you some hints onto how things work out. That's how coaches work in the first place. They look at what's going on in the court, in the field, what's going on in the world around them, and then they tell their players what needs to be done to adjust to make better plays, better shots, better actions in their course of action on the field, in the game, and in life, where life coach is doing the same thing. So life coaching in itself is not exactly complicated. It's not rocket science. It's why you can have a 25-year-old life coach who technically hasn't learned a lot about life, and they can observe and they can figure things out, and they can work through things just as easily as someone else who's much older and necessarily wiser, because they can basically use two eyes and deduct what's going on and then figure out how to make the case work. But the problems come along in this business where people who have all the access to all the best experts in the world tend to try to take in all the information from all the best experts in the world and find themselves just in some sense of paralysis, because they're all saying either the exact same thing and you're looking for one more person to basically justify going through that action, or they have people that they like that are saying things that are totally different and they can't figure out which one to go with. So here's the solution for the analysis paralysis you may find if you're one to consume a bit too many of the personal development things. And trust me, I'm one of those who takes in way more than I probably should for my own personal benefit and for keeping up with what's going on in the business. And that is to watch all the guys you want to watch, but follow just one, maybe two or three, to get a little bit of perspective and things going on, but just follow one person. There is only one head coach for a particular team. That team may have different coaches for different positions. Now, for football, you have a offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, and you have coaches in between, and you have someone to do special teams, and one for the kicker himself and one for the quarterback themselves. But only one person wears the headset as the head coach. One person gets the main blame for everything, even if it's a minor coach that does it or a player that just screws it up. In basketball, you have your head coach, then you have a couple other coaches to maintain things in the process, including some people who are called coaches who don't actually coach. They're basically paperwork guys to make sure that things get done and things are set on time, but they're still a part of the team to make sure things happen for the players. But the head coach is in charge of what's going on. You need a head coach for your life. And if you're one who doesn't pay for any coaching, and trust me, I know a lot of people who don't pay for a lot of coaching. They get their motivational tips here or there and use them in a piecemeal way, and that's fine. But you have to make sure you're not taking too many people in, too many ideas in, and taking too many suggestions that at some point become a bother because you're hearing opposites coming from different people. And there are people with great respect and responsibility, people who aren't trying out to basically snow job you. They are doing what they can. They want to make money, so they're doing things that are going to bring in a lot of eyeballs, going to bring in a lot of exposure, going to make them seem like they're maybe a little larger than they are in many sense. But they're not doing anything necessarily trying to hurt people or steal money. They're just doing it their way. Their way seems to work, except when their way clashes with someone else's way and they say their way seems to work. If you are an above average consumer of personal development materials, and I'm pretty sure if you're listening to me, since I'm not one of the major players, you probably are a large consumer to those type of materials. You've got to remember that too many things get in the way. Too many cooks ruin the broth, if you will. You have issues where things won't work out so well because too many people are giving too many ideas and too many processes that just do not work together. You don't want to, if they were real live people, you wouldn't want to disappoint everyone who's giving you information. So you try to limit the information from there. If you have so many real life coaches and they are giving you extra information that doesn't seem to make sense, then you might be on the extreme point of taking in too many people. Maybe that's one of your problems. You're just not consistent in what you're doing and can't figure out how to make it work. And that's because you have too many people in your lives giving you ideas and give you suggestions. And you may just need to back away from maybe all of them and go with what really makes sense in your mind, go with your gut, if you will, because ultimately that's what you need to do. But the issue with too many cooks in the kitchen, if you will, taking in too many of the materials that you get for free, which is out there for a good reason, but at some point becomes a mishmash of things with different people selling things in different ways so they can convince you that they're the one you need to go with for your paid program. And if you're never going to pay for a program, then you should take some of the things they're saying with a grain of salt, because it's not exactly being played for you. It's being played for a specific audience. They have a specific audience, a specific target, a specific customer that they want to bring in so that they know that they can give them the best that they can. If you're not in that target, they can give you great information, but maybe not the best that can work out for them in what they're teaching and for you in what you're receiving. So a lot of people do sort of doctor shop, if you will, when it comes to personal development, and they're afraid to pull the trigger on those programs because some of them are very costly. But you don't necessarily need a costly program. You just need someone that resonates with you on that level. So maybe someone is saying similar things to one of the high dollar people out there, and that costs a whole lot less. And you can afford what they have going on and work with them for a while and figure it out the rest from the free stuff you're seeing from the other people. That's a great way to go. It's an awesome way to go, actually. But maybe you can afford the high dollar cost, or you feel like you must do the high collar thing. That's great. Pay the money, do the program, make sure you follow all instructions that go along with it, and then focus on that one thing, because all the resources you put into it means it must be worth all that attention. So don't shy away from it because someone on the side says, well, maybe you should do this thing here in the middle of the program you paid a lot of money to get into. Finish the one program you're doing once and then move on to something else if that doesn't happen. And if you're paying for many programs over and over again, looking for that massive magical solution, well, stop doing that. Stop looking for a magical solution, because there are no magical solutions. Everything that's going to work for you, for them, for anyone is going to require some sort of work. Now, you don't have to go out and pay big money for that big program. You can check out a book from the library. You can check out some free videos on the internet. You can download many podcasts, just as I'm just one of many people doing podcasts these ways, and get it figured out. It's not rocket science, as I've just said 3 or 4 times in this thing. But what it is consistency. Find someone that resonates with you, follow their information, follow their guidance, follow their way, and you can listen to a couple other people if you like them. They sound great, and if they are giving you great advice that also supplements and enhances what you're taking in from your guy. But don't go looking for alternate guys just to make it a mind game in your head. Find someone that you like, stick with them, and make it work. Thank you for tuning into this week's podcast, and thank you so much for all the feedback we received for the podcast and the upgrade in sound, in some ways downgrades in sound. We've done some, the studio itself I'm working in had some upgrades in itself, and because of that, you've probably noticed a bit more of the smacking and the kind of guttural noises that I now have to work about and worry about because the sound is even better in the studio. So that means it's picking up a bit more stuff. So I have to do got to get back to my basic mic training on that one. Hadn't really had to worry about that for a while. So doing things like the basics, wearing headphones while I'm recording, make sure that I am talking as smooth and comfortable as possible, and making sure that I am not smacking while I'm talking, because that is a problem I have in some issues. So we're going to work on that, and we're working on making it tighter and better along the ways. And I've greatly appreciate all the feedback I received about the music and the tones inside the songs, tones inside the podcast, and how that's worked out. Thank you so much for that feedback. And some people think it's a little weird, and that's okay. Hopefully you will get into it, and we'll make it work out better for you. If we can't, we're still working it out on our end. In the meantime, I want to remind you that this podcast and this whole program is powered by the $10 Life Coaching Program, where we take a step up from the 10-Minute Life Coach, this 10-minute podcast where you get free information that you can take with you right now. I'm done. Yeah, this lesson is done. You can take that right now and go with it. Or you can join our community of like-minded people who are doing what we can to lift everyone up in the process. We're only asking for $10 a month to pay for a couple little incidentals here or there, but we are all joining in as equals. It's everyone that's in there are like-minded people who are ready to upgrade, take that next step, move on up, and just need a couple hands and a little bit of guidance and maybe a sounding board to make it work out. To be a part of this program, it's only going to cost you $10 a month, and you just need to send us an email to $10lifecoach@gmail.com. In the meantime, any questions about this podcast can be sent to 10minutelifecoach@gmail.com, and you can find anything you want and need to know about me at my main website, jclevelandpayne.net. Yes, I am a professional talker on the microphone, and sometimes my talking on the microphone isn't all that professional. But you can find me at jclevelandpayne.net, or you can send an email to info@jclevelandpayne.net as well. And that is it, because we have gotten to where this thing is nice and tight and professional. We can stop talking when we're done talking. Like I said, sometimes a professional mic talker has problems talking to the mic professionally. So that's it for the podcast. Make sure you sign up for the podcast, subscribe, and whatever podcatcher that you like. We're everywhere that you can find us, and working to get onto Spotify as quickly as we can. There's some issues going on with that one. So thank you so much for being a part of this going on here. Share it with some friends and like-minded people, and be here next week for another edition of the 10-Minute Life Coach.